Hey, good afternoon to everybody out there in chicken world. Marian Patterson and Rick Patterson today with Kelsey Spots from Hoover's Hatchery. We are winding pathways, and for our monthly time with the chickens, and there they are out poking around. I can see them. We're talking today about bears and chickens. Now, bears generally we think about as, oh, up in Alaska we see the bears jumping up, or the fish jumping up and the bears grabbing them and that sort of stuff. But truthfully, there are bears all over the place and in close by areas. Rich, where are the bears and why are they increasing?
Bears are doing very well. They're expanding their range across the country, and often they're expanding the numbers of bears, the density where they're living. And I'm an example. I grew up in New Jersey. When I was a kid there weren't any bears. Now there are bears all over the place, including bears that live within sight of New York City.
Yes.
So we're lucky here. We have no bears living close to us in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, but they are slowly moving down the Mississippi, and there are bears in Iowa even. So bears and chickens are an interesting combination.
Yes, they sure are. And we've seen reports of bears coming up out of the Gulf of Mexico. They were in for a nice little swim. Rich mentioned New Jersey, and there's near a place where we stayed, there's a sow with 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 little cubs. This is in an urban area. Connecticut, New Jersey, New Hampshire, I've got friends who showed a picture of the bear right at their window looking inside at the food. And a cousin of Rich's had the bear climb through the window and help itself to stuff in the kitchen, which is kind of creepy and scary. So why are they expanding, do you think? And what do we do with chickens and bears?
Bears are partly expanding because they have a lot of babies. The sows, 2 or 3 a year is not unusual, so they have a reproductive potential that's very high. And they're also very well adapted to people. They know when to stay out of sight. They also get food from people. They love to go in dumpsters and get pizza crusts and old ravioli, and they like to come and dump over garbage cans and eat garbage in there. And they love bird feeders and bird seed. And you think of a bear as a carnivore. Well, they're omnivores, and probably 85% of what a bear eats is plant-based. It's not animals that it's killing and catching. Can do that, but
right.
It's after a lot of carrion, it's after garbage. Bird feeders bring them in.
And also, a lot of people have dogs and cats, and they leave feed right outside in a handy place. Is that
one of the sure ways of bringing in raccoons, skunks, opossums, and bears is to leave the cat food and the dog food out overnight. You know, and a bear, particularly now, a black bear, his or her vision and hearing is about as good as a human.
Okay.
But their smell is many times better than a dog's.
And dogs' smell, as most of you know, is really good. They smell things that you and I aren't even aware of. So their smell is even better, you say.
Much better. So if there is a bear way down there in the woods and the breeze is kind of going this way and you leave the garbage can out and it's got some nice dinner scraps in there, maybe a few fish heads from when you were fishing net. Ooh, dinner. So that will bring them in. The bears would know if you're feeding birds, and they will knock that right down and eat all of the seeds. So the number one best thing to do to not have trouble with bears is to keep anything they might want to eat inside a good tight building, and inside the building it should be in a good tight can like this.
And even then, if I've got it right, you've been in touch with people up at the Popsy Fish Company in Alaska, where they have big buildings secure for a lot of different reasons. Tell what happened to them.
Well, you know, a raccoon is terribly strong, and a bear is like a 400 or 500 pound raccoon. I mean, strong. And this bear, they were grizzlies there, but they broke right through a door and a window in and made a huge mess in their kitchen.
Okay, and so looking around here, Kelsey can kind of pan a little bit. You know that we have the windows and you have the screens, and we also have the wiring, which is all really good, but would that keep a bear out?
That wouldn't keep a bear out of here. The bear would come through. It keeps the raccoons out.
All right.
And some of the mosquitoes, but not a bear.
Not a bear.
So the surefire thing. Okay,
Yeah,
the
what do we
surefire
do? I don't
thing
want bears in my chickens.
is an electric fence. And this is a type of netting that is sold by Premier One. It's a real good company, and it's electrified. And they really make this to keep the chickens in. But it works even better on bears. And the reason it does is because a bear has 4 feet that are kind of like bare feet touching the ground, and they have a nice wet nose.
Oh, yes.
They make great contact with the ground. And this means that bear comes up to this fence and he sticks his nose on it. He gets a heck of a shot.
Okay.
And they're smart. These are not stupid animals. They're smart. They say, ooh, I better leave those chickens alone. They sure smell tasty, but I'm not going in there.
But why doesn't it work to shock the chickens?
It does shock the chickens, but not as much, because a chicken has 2 feet.
Right.
And those feet are not like bare feet. There's like a bunch of callus on the outside.
Okay, yeah.
Doesn't conduct electricity
Let's
as
take
well.
a look
And their
over there. If we
nose.
can underneath the ramada there. Yeah, you can take a look at the feet. Oh, thank you for coming over. And her beak is not wet. And
It's not a wet,
Look, she's
soft
so
beak
curious.
like a bear's. So
thank you for posing for us, Rusher. She thinks she's going to get a treat. All right, so that's the difference. The bear's got, as you said, bare feet, literally, and
So,
playfully.
to reduce odds of any kind of bear problems, number one, keep any kind of food source as far away from them, out of sight and out of smelling range as possible.
All right.
And that may solve a lot of the problems. The last ditch of defense is a electric fence, and there are some cautions there.
Yeah, I'm going to say we're in a suburban area. If we had an electric fence and we have little friends that like to come, and everybody, including adults, like to come right up to the fence and take a look. And the little kids hang on to the fencing like this, and they're watching the chickens. That could be trouble. What do we do?
Well, a good thing to do is to learn about electric fences. And the Premier One on their website, they have a couple of YouTube videos of how to install and be as safe as possible with an electric fence.
Okay, so that's Premier One.
Yes.
All right, and where are they located?
They're in Iowa also. They're down near Washington.
Okay,
Iowa.
so southern Iowa, Premier One. I know they have a lot of fencing for different purposes. So tell us about electricity for bear prevention.
Well, like we said, this works very well to keep the chickens in and the bears out.
Okay.
And they have other ones too, and there are a lot of other places that sell electric fences.
Okay, and how do we now keep people from getting the shocks?
The website's pretty good about
Okay.
that, and the YouTube video, but you need to be very aware of somebody visits and they have children, to make sure that they stay away from the fence, or while they're visiting, presumably there's not a bear around, you turn that fence off.
Okay.
So, smell, eliminate smell, and then if necessary, use an electric fence. It also works well around beehives.
Right.
And buildings that you might not want to. And our friend up in Alaska has now installed a electric fence around his cabin and kitchen.
Yes, yeah. And again, that cabin and kitchen up in Alaska is bear-proof to begin with. Well, it's not really, apparently. So he's taking those extra precautions here.
500-pound raccoon.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, now where can I find more information about bears in general? You mentioned beehives and the cattle and chickens and such.
Bears are fascinating animals. They're fun to see and observe and see their tracks. But you need to know how to be around bears, even if you're hiking in the woods someplace. And there is a very good website. It was created by a bear biologist. It's called BearWise.
All right, it's bearwise.org. Remember that .org, because I put in another whatever. I'm not going to say it. And it's like, what? This is not it at all. So bearwise.org. And it's really good. It's easy to read. It's put into different categories. Good pictures, and although done by biologists, it's people talk. So it's really a good site. I like it.
It has information what to do if you're hiking in the woods and you encounter a bear, what to do to keep the bears away from your chickens and your goats and your dogs and all of that. And the crux of it will be primarily what we just talked about.
Right. Good. Okay. Well, that's it on bears and chickens. It's some good info. But we usually have a tip of the month. So let's go into that a little bit.
This month is tick time. Oh my goodness, tick time.
Not to be confused with TikTok. It's tick time.
So here we have talking about bears, which could be 500 or 600 pounds, and can be a little bit of a threat to people and certainly to chickens. We're going down to this little itty bitty little thing that is more common than bears and more likely to spread a disease to people,
Yes.
and has an interesting relationship with chickens.
Yes. We've been wondering, does a tick get on a chicken? And the answer is yes. Does a chicken eat ticks? And the answer is yes. Now, when there are two organisms that work mutually together, it's called symbiosis. But if a tick gets on a chicken and sucks its blood, it's a
Parasite.
And if a chicken sees a tick, it gobbles it up, and it is a
Predator.
So we've invented this word, I don't know if we've invented it, but a predacite. So chickens predate ticks, and ticks are parasitic on chickens. Most of the time we think of ticks, oh, they're out there in the woods, I better put some pants on. But the truth is, there'll be ticks in your yard. So if I go out to work, and you see how I'm dressed, I got my Crocs on, I love my little Crocs. Well, there are holes in it, and ticks might just climb through it. And I have bare skin because it's a hot day. I want to wear shorts. Normally, I might have a tank top on, but I've got my Winding Pathway shirt on. So I'm inviting the ticks to come right up and have something to eat straight away. But Rich does something different, and I do too. We're just doing this to show contrast. Rich, what have you got that says the ticks go, oh, we really don't like that Patterson guy?
Well, the weak part of ticks, the great way to protect yourself from ticks and tick-borne diseases is to know that they're not like mosquitoes or flies. You know, if a mosquito lands on you and he starts biting right away, she, I should say, bites right away. Tick does it differently. They don't fly. They can't fly. So they wait on a blade of grass or a little twig somewhere, and when you wander by, they have two front legs grab hold.
All right.
From there, they start walking around, and they might walk on you for hours before they dig in. So what these clothes are, they have a material called permethrin.
Okay, let's take a look at that.
Permethrin, and this is approved for using on clothing, not on skin, and it kills ticks.
All right,
So,
again, not on skin, which is unlike, where's our repel there?
insect repellent that has DEET in it repels ticks, but doesn't kill them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can put that on your clothes.
Wait, on your skin.
On your skin, I'm sorry. The permethrin kills them, but you don't put it on your skin, you put it on your clothes. And I buy clothes for use in the summertime that are permeated by the permethrin. It includes my socks, my pants, and my shirt.
Right, and you spray the boots too, don't
And
you?
I sprayed the boots with this. Okay? And since I've been doing that for a few years, I have not found ticks on me. But I am sure when I'm out and about, I take my clothes off, put them in the laundry, and I take a sudsy shower and check myself all over. But,
Right.
It gives you an edge over them.
Right.
And Lyme disease is serious. I've had it twice. It's not something anybody wants. And if you can prevent it, that's very good. If you develop the symptoms, get to your doctor right away.
Yes, and I'm going to add in here, take those clothes off that you've been gardening, you've been out in the woods, in your yard, golfing, any kinds of activities, wash them then. Do not put the same dirty clothes on because the ticks could be sitting there saying, aha, here comes my host again, I think I'll have a dinner. So that's one, and oh gosh, what was the second one here? Symptoms of Lyme disease. Too many times we think of the bullseye rash, and that was the big thing that was put out there when Lyme disease kind of made its appearance years and years ago. However, that is not the only thing you should look for, and it occurs far less than we thought. But if you're feeling kind of achy for no particular reason, you're really tired, no energy, no appetite, and you might check over and say, oh gosh, I do have kind of a little rash or a bullseye. Those are all symptoms. Contact your doctor, get the Lyme test, and then go from there because there is a good antibiotic. Now, Rich, you've had it twice, And the first time the doctor did the Lyme test and gave you the antibiotic. The second time she did not even do the test. And why is that?
Well, it was, by then I knew the symptoms pretty well. And,
Right.
And I did have a rash then, and I told her, and she got me right on it. And my doctor just this week told me that once you've had Lyme disease, even though it's driven out of your system by antibiotics, you're still test positive. So
All right.
the test works if you the first time,
Right.
but maybe not so well other times.
Okay.
And we might end this. There is widespread belief that if you have chickens or guineas in your yard, that they're going to free your yard of ticks. And
Right.
it's highly likely that they will find and eat a lot of them, but don't count on them getting all of them.
All of them,
Still
right.
take those precautions.
Yep. And another thing you could do is welcome in the possums because they like to run around, and the ticks crawl on the possums again, thinking, "Oh, I got a good dinner here." And the possums groom themselves; they're very tidy, and they gobble up the tick. But you're going to get them anyway. They're going to be around. That's what you're saying.
So be cautious,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
be cautious around bears, but enjoy bears. They're fascinating items. I don't think it's possible to enjoy ticks,
No.
but we share the world with them, so we should know something about them.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for joining us, Hoover's Hatchery and Winding Pathways, about bear wise and tick wise. So, thank you so much for coming.